Hello, hey guys, how you doing? How you doing? Welcome on in to Medical Talk in Layman's Terms with Nurse Charlene. And tonight is very special. I'm having my first guest speaker, and the topic is the gut or the gut and its health and everything. I'm adding that on there and stuff because of what my guest speaker is coming to bring to the table. All right. How's everybody doing? Okay. Well, I hope you're doing fine and stuff. I know y'all watching that Warriors game and everything and stuff, but yeah, get you a little health in too, and stuff. The Warriors are healthy. All them players is healthy and stuff. So we're going to talk about the gut and gut health and everything. And I will have a guest speaker speaking on the actual gut health and a product that he wants to get us to recognize and everything because it's a good product and everything. And we're going to talk about that and definitely get on in here and do medical talk in layman's terms with Nurse Charlene. All right. I think I see him on and stuff. So I'm going to introduce my son, Michael Jefferson. I'm so proud of him. I'm bringing him on.
Hello. How you doing, Mama?
Hello.
I'm with you.
Yes. So definitely oh, you want me to put you on? So definitely I wanted to first of all I need to do a podcast disclaimer and everything and stuff just to make sure that I can keep on loving on you and stuff like you need to be loved on and stuff. So okay, I'm putting somebody on. I'm sorry. Yes. Okay. Here. No, bring it away. Okay, sorry about that, you guys and stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and go on with the podcast disclaimer. And it says this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not intended to replace professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult with your physician for any medical concerns. If you have questions about a medical condition, reach out to a qualified healthcare professional. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you heard on this podcast or any other podcast. Guest views are their own and may not reflect the host, which is me, or this podcast. The information shared is for general knowledge. It should not be used for any legal or medical purposes. Always consult with a licensed professional who knows your medical history for a meaningful evaluation. Guys, stay informed, but always seek professional advice when it comes to your health. Okay? Now, I got that out of the way and stuff. Now, we're going to be ready to rock and roll. We're talking about the gut. And so I'm just going to, before introducing my dynamic speaker, Michael Jefferson, the love of my life, and stuff, I want to just explain to you what the gut is. So, because I'm Picasso, I always, draw things on my board behind me. So I got me a little human being here, and stuff like that. And it just shows all the stuff from your mouth to the tutor and stuff like that. And then also some of the stuff that my dynamic speaker is going to be talking about, which is your bacteria of the gut and different things like that. So I have a whole bunch of little this and that's on the board. But I want to just give you a quick definition of the gut. Okay. The gut refers to the digestive tract, also known as the gastrointestinal system. Gastro means stomach, intestinal means the intestines. That's your gut. And it is a long tube that runs from the mouth to the anus, your butt. Okay. and stuff. So just a quick thing, the function of the gut is very important. It's a matter of life and death, which is it's to break down food, absorb nutrients, and get rid of waste. So we know that and stuff. One more thing, I'm just going to give you a quick anatomy, just calling out the names, and then we're going to go right into speaking on gut health and why we're here today and stuff. The main organ is it starts with your mouth. You put food into your mouth, and then from there it goes down to the back of your throat, down into this thing called an esophagus. I'm not going to go over all the names of it right away and stuff, but that it goes into that tube. That tube then drops it off into your stomach. Your stomach processes your food and everything. Then it brings it in. It slides it on into, it's a little more in depth, but it slides it on into that small intestine. From that small intestine, it does further break down and does what it has to do. Then it slides it on into the large intestine. The large intestine does what it has to do and gets it all prepped for getting all the bad stuff out of you. And then it goes into your colon, which is also part of your large intestine. After the colon, it goes to your what they call the rectum and the anus. And the rectum and the anus is the last part. That's what you push out when you, so the colon, so you see the stool, or what else you want to say? Poo poo, dookie. That's is, and stuff. I gotta get you in layman's terms because I put that in the name, layman's terms, keeping it simple and stuff. So yeah, your poop. That's the process of it. Food in this way, poop out that way. Okay. So now just sit clean and simple and stuff. Just letting you know that's what you have. Everybody has it if you're a human being and everything. So now I'd like to, without further ado, introduce my son, but also a dynamic speaker, and he can speak on the gut and really I wanted to highlight products and stuff, and he's going to speak on one of the products that's important for the gut and everything and stuff. So without further ado, I'm introducing Michael Jefferson. Let's go, boy.
What up? All right. You were mentioning different ways of calling poop, stool and whatever. I was thinking boo-boo. Every morning, only because every morning, the boys got their routine. Your grandchildren, I got them on a routine, right? So the first thing they do is that we get up and they got to get the diaper changed. So they know that, automatically get their diaper changed. Right after they're getting their diaper changed, they know automatically that we got to put the boo-boo in the bag. And they say boo-boo, boo-boo. So they got to put the boo-boo in the bag. And then we do our hair, and then we brush our teeth, and they got to get the back teeth. And then they know how to go downstairs. They walk downstairs by themselves. They take their own boo-boo to the door, set it by the door, and then they automatically go and get up in their chair and get ready to eat. And it's just their routine. So as you were talking about that, I was like, boo-boo, boo-boo, get the boo-boo. Because they'll fight. They'll be like, bro, you get the boo-boo. No, bro, you get the boo-boo. So that happened this morning.
Passing it off to each other.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you so much, Mama. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for having me on. And like you mentioned in some of your disclaimer, I'm not anybody. I'm not a nurse. I just grew up, as the son of a nurse. Sometimes people say son of the B word. I'm a son of a nurse, right? And I've been a son of a nurse, since as long as she's been a nurse. And I watched her. I was the one who went on the site to find out that she passed her NCLEX test. I remember I was like, Mom, I know how to work the internet back when if there's young folks on here, the situation where you had to take the cord from the phone, plug it into the computer, and all of that stuff, right? So we had to wait till dial-up come in, all of that stuff, and I don't know if we had DSL by then, but I remember looking on the site and I was like, Mom, I think that means you passed right here. She's like, what? You lying? Well, she started going crazy. So how many years ago was that? What, 21 years?
21 years ago.
Man, that was
21.
That was pretty crazy. And just to think about that. So there is a plethora of knowledge and a lot of applications, specifically being that you've like actively like been in people's lives. I've heard all the crazy stories of people pooping, and I'm like, I knew you were a nurse, but I didn't know you had to clean up poop. And it was like, I'm a nurse. I have to flip them over. Sometimes these men are 200+ pounds. So I've heard all the stories, man. It's been crazy. So I feel like I was like in the hospital half my life because I've heard everything. And so, growing up in life, I feel like, getting into working out in martial arts. A lot of people know that I've been doing martial arts for plenty of years, and I focused specifically on, I was not focused specifically, but because I was in martial arts around the healthcare care field, I was really, really in tune with how do I add stuff inside my body? How do I eat stuff, drink stuff in order to maximize my performance? Because I wanted to go and be a world champion and do all kind of stuff, travel around the world and all of that stuff. So I was always looking to try to tweak what I do in order to be able to get better and better at that stuff. So one of the things that I was able, through some relationships, was able to get what I would call an endorsement with, a partnership with, is a company called Nutrilite. And this company it's one of the like 12 or 13 different companies I've been able to leverage. And specifically, it's been a lot of new information on the gut. I don't know if anybody follows a person named Dr. Shaw. She's huge on social media, multi-million followers, and she's big on the gut. And she actually came to an event where I was able to hear her speak directly, and ask questions and things like that. Big. The gut, I ended up finding out, was a lot more than we think it is. So I'm just going to take everybody to a journey, kind of like in Discovery. I want you to imagine you don't know anything about the gut at all. All you know that is that GUT might stand for like whatever it stands. You don't even know. You just know that gut is in here somewhere in your belly, right? My mom explained some of those components that make up what we think the gut is, the stomach, and how digestion kind of happens, within the mouth and kind of goes down through the body and large intestine, then you poop it out. And you point to the thing. I thought you were raising your hand. I was like, I'm not your teacher. This is not class. What's going on? No, but let me go ahead and pull up my notes here I made for this, and it's not going to be super long. But if anybody had along the way any kind of questions, I'm sure my mom will be able to kind of gather that stuff, and then you can ask me directly as I get to the end of this. Okay, so the gut, right? First thing that kind of blew my mind was hearing that 70% of your entire immune system lives in your gut. Right. So if you're really trying to be effective at how to keep your body from getting sick or obtaining sicknesses or even COVID and all of these things, I would think it makes sense to start to, this is just facts according to the statistics. Just pay attention to your gut more. Pay attention to what you're putting in your body, because that stuff can either bring down your immune system or bring up your immune system. Right. And so I was like, man, 70%, that's huge. That means only 30% is wherever else you might think it is. And that had me starting to think, okay, so what does that look like when it comes to like taking certain products and things like that, right? How do we know what's right? How do we know what's good? And I went down that journey to start to try to understand the gut a little bit more. So your gut, what do I have here? Your gut, another big crazy statistic is that serotonin, which we hear about all the time, right? It's like a feel-good chemical. People link it to happiness, keeping yourself calm. It's a neurotransmitter. It's a chemical, right, in your body. And so what's happening is an incredible, like 95% of your body's serotonin is not even in your brain, right? And I was talking to my mom about this. I was like, aren't there medications that specifically play on serotonin? And we're thinking like it's up here, like, oh, it's in your brain. 95% of it is actually in your gut. So how you eat will dictate how you feel, like literally your feelings, your emotions, your hormonal switches and changes. And I was like, man, isn't that crazy? Because speaking of the gut, just recently went through a colonoscopy. And maybe my pause right there. Can you explain what a colonoscopy is? Because I don't know if I want to. I'm tired of hearing about colonoscopies.
Oh, I guess I can do that. So a colonoscopy. Right.
Let me tell them the whole thing. Endoscopy and then a colonoscopy. Explain both of those, do they?
Okay. Yeah, one. So it's called what is it? A EGD. So it's called a esophageal gastroduodenoscopy. Oscopy. I know that. Oh, that sounds good. I know everybody knows that word. But anyway, so I call it. They went from the rooter to the tutor. So they went down the throat and looked in the stomach, and then they went in the back door, we'll call it, and looked into the large intestines or the colon area. Large intestines, colon area, interchangeable.
That leads me to the next, because I went and did those at the same time, right? There's a third one you can do, where you take a pill, and this pill has a flashing light in it. And it looked like it was crazy. I thought I was in the future or something like that. I had to take this pill, swallow it. And like my mom talked about, the first one with the words that we all can't pronounce right now, that into do it, that thing, and plus the other thing down the bottom, they don't actually go all the way through, right? Because the small intestine is made up so many different curves and crevices that it could puncture and perforate that lining, and you could end up with another issue, right? So they only go up to a certain point in your large intestine from the bottom and from the top. Luckily, because I did them both, they put me to sleep. I remember the doctor was like, "Is there anything that you'd like me to know before we get started?" And I was like, "This is exactly what it felt like. Man, just do a good job, man." And he was like, "All right, I'm gonna do a good job." And I was like this. I was like,
"Why you tell him that?"
Blink. And then as soon as I opened my eyes, I was like, they were like, "Yeah, Mr. Jefferson, you're done." I was like, "What?" There's no way that happened in 1 second, but it felt like that. So I'm glad. I didn't feel anything going anywhere, right? We were all good, okay? I mean, that was just that. But then because they found out that my gut, probably because of this product that I'm about to talk about a little later, my gut was completely clean, no polyps. I think they'll find in there, hemorrhoids, any kind of like plaque that'll build up within the walls. It was extremely clean, and then on both ends. Mostly there was like a little bit of like acid reflux, GERD, I think they call it. That'll happen when you have your body just producing a lot of stomach acid. It'll kind of pop up, but on a grade from A, B, C, and D, they'll give you grades. I got a B. So it was like, oh, like that's like it's kind of like causing a little bit. If it continues, it could start getting worse. So they were like, there's some stuff you can do about that, medication you could take. But for the most part, they were like, it was the cleanest we've ever seen in this hospital. And that was great. But we didn't get through all of it. That pill actually goes down and it goes into that small intestine, and it takes pictures along the way. So all yesterday, literally, I just started eating today. All yesterday, I had to take that juice stuff, and it's, if you ever been through it,
it says go lightly, but it's not light. There's nothing lightly about it.
It's crazy. I'm not gonna
what they call a bowel prep.
Yeah,
yes,
it's called a bowel prep, right? And that's
it prep you all right. It prep you, Michael.
I'm clean. Hopefully, I'm looking forward to hearing my results, and I'm definitely gonna run that by you, Mom, because throughout my life, you've always been that person. Whether I had a friend, anybody, I'm like, Mom, this person. I'm taking pictures of the medicine. If they're the little IV bags, I take the picture. Y'all can do that too, I'm sure. If you know my mom, send her a text message, an email, or something like that, or whatever contact you have, and she'll help you understand that stuff. So you're not just taking stuff in the hospital. I've never felt that feeling of like, okay, I'll do it because you said so. We know that the medical professionals we love them. I appreciate them, but they're practicing, right? They're practitioners. They're doing their best. And so what that means is that they don't always know exactly. I feel like they're like trainers where it's like, I don't know if push-ups will be the best for you or bench press. I'm not quite sure exactly what you might need based on what your strength. So because they're working with so much, it's hard to determine what to give you. And sometimes they might give you something that might cause another issue, and they just have to take it away. And so I like to share that stuff with my mom. She knows me more, and that way I can get the best stuff going. So, I'll definitely give you those results. And at that point, I'll know that my entire gut is completely great, and my health at that point will be accurate. I can't wait to find that out so I can walk around with that badge of honor for sure. But getting into the gut again, okay? So okay, here's the thing. So that serotonin we talked about, 95% of that is inside, and it's producing your gut. And you got to let that sink in, because the vast majority of that chemical heavily influences your mood, your sleep, even your appetite, and it originates right there in your digestive system. So when you feel off or stressed or down, your gut health could be a major player in this. Sometimes we're ignoring that. We're thinking that, oh, we're off. We need to drink some coffee. We need to spark up. We're just throwing a Band-Aid on a wound, and we're not necessarily fixing it, right? We're not necessarily causing ourselves to not have to have that issue long term. So that's why they say, if you look it up, they call the gut the second brain, right? It has serotonin in it and more of it in there. So if anything, it should be the first brain. But that barrier of entry, I like to kind of associate that with, your mind. If you let negative stuff in your head, right, then it's playing around up there. You let it in there. If you gatekeep that and stop that negative stuff from coming in, just like you stop the negative food from coming in, you're going to be better off health-wise, right? Just mentally, that happens with thoughts and people. And then physically, that happens with what we put inside of our mouths. And, my mom talked about biblical references often. And one of the biggest ones, your body is a temple. I love that whole notion of just even treating your gut like a temple. Like, imagine that gut is your baby, because it is. Like, imagine this is your child. Like, what would you feed your child? And so don't get, just because the normal has led us astray to think that cheeseburgers 5 times a day. And I'm not saying don't eat, sir. I love cheeseburgers. And I still eat them. The point is that like 30 times a day though, right? Like the amount that we consume, because it's just normal. We hear the commercials, we hear about our friends and family. We're not looking at their health to determine, if they eat it, they're not going to eat it. We don't look at their health to determine that. We look at, they said it was good and that restaurant was great, so I'm going to go to all 5 of those every day. And then instead of thinking about why and what we're putting inside of our system, you know what I mean? I think that's big. So another thing is to this whole word. There's 3 words that I want to bring up, and I think it's written on the board up there too: probiotics, prebiotics, and postbiotics. Okay, and that's big because a lot of people think that. I actually had a friend of mine who shared me a drink, and it had some prebiotic. They thought it was probiotic, so they were like, "Here goes a probiotic drink." And I looked at it, and I was like, "I know about these 3 things, right?" And so I looked at the can, and it said prebiotic on it, and I was like, "This is prebiotic, right?" And they were like, "Yeah, probiotics." I was like, "Oh, you know what? We just don't. We got marketed to, but we don't even know." When you see something that says prebiotic, it's basically fiber, right? Fiber is a form of prebiotic. Fiber and other different forms of things that basically goes inside your gut that the probiotics eat on. Probiotics are the animals. Yeah. These are like don't think of them like animals, but they're creatures, right? They're live bacteria, right? They're gut bacteria, but they're live. They're living. They move around, swarm around, and do stuff, right? But the prebiotics are the food that the probiotics eat. So if you consume a probiotic and you don't have the prebiotic factor in there that's allowed so that it can eat, what happens when you don't eat? You don't perform well, right? When you don't eat, you get tired. When you don't eat, you die. So that's what happens to the probiotics. Sometimes people are going to the market and trying to shove probiotics in their mouth, but they don't have the prebiotic in order to allow for them to survive long enough to produce postbiotic, right? So the postbiotic is what happens when the prebiotic, think about the middle guy, prebiotic, probiotic. When a probiotic eats the prebiotic, right? Because pre is before, pre means before, and then post means after. So then pro is in the middle. So the pros eat the pre's and produce the posts. That makes sense. Hopefully that puts it in layman's terms, right, Mom? Know what we're talking about. I was like, this could get kind of, but like that, we got to say the words, right? So that's what that looks like. And so the thing that's getting produced, I think one of the ones that people are least likely to be familiar with is that postbiotic. So this part is, I'm going to read off this. It said the postbiotic, when the probiotics consume the prebiotics, and that's when a good bacteria eat their favorite food, basically, if you want to think about it like that, they produce beneficial compounds as a byproduct. These are called postbiotics. Think of them as the valuable goods and services produced by your gut for a good job, right? That's like they're like, here you go. Thanks for giving me some good food, human person. So I'm gonna give you this thing as a kickback, right? They're helping you out. They're for you. They're like soldiers on your side, and they're like these short. Sometimes they're short chain fatty acids that will reduce inflammation, strengthen your gut walls, and even influence that serotonin production that we were talking about earlier. So these are all things that postbiotics are able to do. That's really what we're looking for. We don't want probiotics just because. We want it because of what they do, right? Imagine if you had a business and you had a bunch of employees, they didn't do anything. Then why you have them, right? The point of having them, the point of hiring people or partnering, whatever you're doing, the point of doing that is to see what the results are going to look like, right? You're paying them hoping that something is going to come out of this. So we want to pay our probiotics with prebiotics so that they can give us that postbiotic that our body needs, if that makes sense, okay? So that's that in a nutshell. And I think just talking about that alone, hopefully folks are more equipped when they're looking at these labels and they're trying to figure out some stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And so now going into the a couple of like statistics, I think this could just be interesting. It was a bunch of other stuff, but I was like, man, just to save some time, let me just throw that probiotic that thing out and then go into some statistics here. So we talked about the 95% of your serotonin is in your gut, 70% of your immune system, right, is in your gut, and like brain inflammation pathways are linked to your gut too. So Alzheimer's, we talked. Me and my mom had a conversation about this a little yesterday, the day before, and we were looking at, man, like it's crazy how Alzheimer's is even associated with this. There's some crazy stats, like for example, we were talking about Tanzania. So geographically, right, depending on where you live, they've done some studies in Africa and found out that the Tanzanians, for example, their guts, because of the type of foods they consume, had 37% more of the fiber fermenting microbes. So when you hear that fermenting stuff, you're thinking like kimchi, sauerkraut, these like, those kind of foods. And a lot of times, to be honest, I'm not gonna lie, I stay away from it. I don't like that stuff, right? Korean foods a lot of times have fermented stuff. My wife loves kimchi. I'm starting to get it. It's fermented cabbage, right? I'm like, it literally sounds like it's going bad. Why would you want to eat this stuff? But it produces these probiotics and things like that in great like plethora of all of that stuff, and your gut needs that stuff. If we switched up and just added a little bit more of that to our diets, it would change our whole microbiome for sure. That alone. So the 2025 study just found out that we found 1,005 bacterial species and 40,135 viral species inside of our gut this year alone that we didn't even know about, new them. So if you're thinking about it, it's like, man, the more we're starting to put our eyes on this world around our gut, the world is starting to do more studies and more larger studies, and finding out that it's a ridiculous amount of things that's linked to things like Alzheimer's and PTSD, even, right? That's linked to everything we were talking about before. So a couple of other things people talk that they mentioned here was somebody mentioned they love kimchi. Now, yeah, you know what? I'm starting to get into it now. The fact that the smell felt like it was fermenting, I was like, I can't handle this. I can't deal with all of this. Even sauerkraut, I was like, ugh. But as I started, eating it, and especially if you cook it with soups and things, I'm starting to enjoy it a lot more for sure. But there was a big groundbreaking study done in 2025 that found that Alzheimer's patients' guts, right? They shriveled, the intestinal wall shriveled by 20%, the mucus layer thinned by 50%. And it was causing, like, I think there's a term called leaky gut, right? But there's also leaky neuronal networks where it basically allows for the toxins to pass the blood-brain barrier and start affecting your brain from your gut. And so if your gut is set up right, it's a direct connection between your gut and your brain, right? So if you don't want to mess up your brain, right? We don't want to consume certain people are like, oh, stay away from those drugs or this or that. But then they'll eat this stuff that's the same thing. Like, it's starting to like really cause these issues. And it's like, man, it's crazy to see that stuff is linked. We think we're safe when it comes to like what we eat, but we're like, nah, don't drink or do drugs. It's all eat, drugs, drinking, all of that stuff is, man, it's crazy to think about how it could be affected by that, right? And then one or two more I'll give you that was big for me that I was like, this is huge. I'm thinking about my kids. They revealed a 2025 gut summit revealed that children post-COVID, right? So children who got COVID when they were kids, right? They lose 68% of one of these beneficial microbes that's good for your gut. 68%. And that's big because that particular gut bacteria that we need, as a good gut bacteria, it is it's responsible for brain development, the vaccine response, so how well the vaccines will even respond. And it even it's seen to help prevent long COVID and gut issues. So people have this idea what long, like I know, Mom, you may have experiences long COVID and some symptoms of that for sure. And also my father-in-law is going to the hospital every week, pretty much working on his long COVID, and he was in Texas and moved out here as well. And that's the thing, to know that there's a possibility for us to affect some of that with our gut, right? And I'm not hearing this from the doctors quite yet. They're not saying much about it. They're saying change your diet, but not necessarily the whys behind it. If you knew that it was because COVID, caused for some of these bacteria to start to get depleted in our microbiome, we need to put that stuff back. A powerful supplement is at hand now. You know what I mean? So, so this creates what they're saying. This can create a generational time bomb. So pay attention to these kids. They're saying that kids with this depleted microbiome are 3 times more likely to develop obesity and autoimmune disorders by 30. Right. So that means, those that were born and they were children around the age of the COVID pandemic, their guts wiped out so early like that, and that stuff not being put back, it's like a ticking time bomb. We're not going to be surprised in 30 years if there's a huge just influx of these issues. And I think that's something big for us to pay attention to now, but also to do something about it now. Right. If you know better, do better. Right. And it's a bunch of other statistics I'll share with people on the other end, but it's a lot of stuff you can do. Like we mentioned eating sauerkraut, and that brine has postbiotics and healing for your intestinal lining. So you eating that kind of stuff, those fermented foods are going to help out a lot. it said that people naturally would just lose some of their gut biome. So by 50, most people have 83% less of one of these bacteria. And I'm not going to say the name. It's like Faecalacobacteria. I don't know what it's called. It's one of those. Look at the green one. We're going to call it that green one.
The green ones or the orange ones. It starts
with an F, okay? And
you're supposed to have all of those, but we lose.
Remember, it was 43,000 discovered net. So it's a lot of these that exist. So even if you're getting probiotics, the diversity in which you get it from matters, right? You don't want to get it from just one source. You want to, because each one of them all do different things. And that's a big deal. So, I kind of wanted to end there and then kind of introduce this particular product that we have that we want to highlight. Let me get down to my notes here.
And by the way, just wanted to tap in and say, loving the comments, and we are going to have so much fun answering them. We're going to try to answer as many as we can live, but then even after the live, so keep the comments coming, because even after the live, you'll be able to check back and see that we answered each and every comment and everything and stuff. So definitely, or even if you just added to what we were already saying, this will be a great time that once we highlight the product and everything and stuff, then we'll go back and we'll start answering questions left and right. And the ones that we can, or we need to just look up real quick and everything and stuff, we will make sure that we give you nothing but the best information. All right. You tapping back in?
Yeah, I'm tapping back in now. So I actually, I don't know why my notes didn't include the stuff in it, but I was able to kind of pull something up here. So the product itself is called the Begin Daily GI Primer. And so what this is, and just break down that word, right? Daily, meaning every single day. GI is your gastrointestinal system, right? Right. So written up right up there above who did you make that person look like, me or you? I don't know. You drew that person on the side. I don't know. It looked like
that looks like
me if I do like this.
I think it looked like you.
So GI,
it has to have a dimple in the cheek if it's gonna look like me.
Yeah, you gotta make the nose a little bigger. You know I'm over here. And I didn't shave up. I should have shaved up for this. But
I should have put a mustache or something.
Oh yeah, you didn't have to be put a little stuff. But yeah, so the GI and then primer, meaning that you're priming your gut. You're getting it set up for the rest of the day. I take this stuff every single day. And I honestly believe that, in my personal opinion, it is one of the most powerful products that I've ever seen. I've done a lot of research in this area, and I haven't seen a product have what I'm about to share with you, all have it in all at once, right? You're hearing about other things out there that have some of this stuff, but this has a multitude of things all in one, and it's wild. So I'm going to go ahead and go over what they call the 7 pillars or 6 pillars or 6 gut supporting blends, right? So in this product, it has fermented greens, so which is what we just talked about, right? Those kimchi, all of that stuff, right? And so these provide phytonutrients and support a healthy gut environment, right? So again, this is what those probiotics come in and start to eat on, right? Those fermented greens and things. The prebiotics and fiber, same thing. These are they feed beneficial gut bacteria and promote a balanced microbiome and regularity. Okay. Number 3 is going to be your postbiotics. So these deliver beneficial compounds produced by probiotics, supporting gut barrier and immune health. And then you have alkaline spices, which is huge. I know a lot of people talk about alkalinity and, having certain, their water is alkaline at a certain, or have a certain pH. This helps balance your gut pH to support digestive comfort. A lot of times that our pH is out of whack, and that's why we're hearing all of this stuff going on all in our gut, and it's a lot of different things produced in there. It's because of the alkalinity. It's because of your pH levels. You want to keep that stuff in line. So having these alkaline spices are huge. Digestive enzymes, right? These aid in breaking down carbs, fats, and proteins. You have to remember, and I was just thinking about this, just play around with this. This is for the layman for sure. Your mouth, if you open it up, right? And then think about the bottom hole. Okay, whatever. We're not going to call it butthole, whatever, right? Boom. So there's an opening here and an opening at the bottom. That tube and everything that comes all the way through there, right? And then in the middle, you get that bubble guts, all of that stuff, right? All of that stuff that comes through there is only inside that tube. Your body and your everything else doesn't directly touch the food. Only your tract, the digestive tract, touches the food. And what happens is when it's going through that small intestine, large intestine, the stomach acid first, and even in the mouth. In your mouth, enzymes are already starting to break down things. So if you want to try something, if anybody on the live right now got some bread in the living room or the kitchen, go grab a piece of bread, okay? Drink some water first, grab a piece of bread, put it in your mouth. And it's going to be hard, but put it in your mouth and just chew it up and don't stop. Just keep chewing it up. I promise you, after about a couple of minutes of just chewing it up, just bread, right? After a couple of minutes, that bread is going to turn sweet. And you're going to be like, hold on, why is it sweet? Because that is a carb. And the way your body sees carbs when it starts to digest it is it sees it as sugar, right? So bread is sugar. Sugar is sugar, bread is sugar. All of that stuff will break down to those three things: carbs, proteins. What's the other one? The fats. Carb, protein. Mm-hmm. Yep, carbs, proteins, and fats, right? And so digestive enzymes, their job is to step in and break down that meat that you might be consuming. So some people are like, meat isn't bad. Meat isn't bad if you have good digestive enzymes all the time. But if you don't, then you might notice, man, I can't eat meat. That's going to destroy my stomach. It's not that you can't eat meat. Sometimes it's that your digestive enzymes is not, they're out of whack. Your pH levels are out of whack. So it doesn't know what to do with the meat. It doesn't have the material. It's like going to war without soldiers. You know what I mean? You got to have your soldiers ready to go. So this product, number 5, has digestive enzymes in it. And number 6, it has a concentrated fruits and vegetables inside of it that provides additional phytonutrients for overall gut health and antioxidants. And oxidation is a big deal. I think everybody should go look it up. I don't even think I need to explain it, but oxidation and oxidized stress that happens in your body is what leads to the cancers and all the other stuff that's going on in our body. So if you want to really know these free radicals, when they talk about free radicals, there's a whole segment on that. That's a whole other thing. But your gut can help control some of that stuff. So to allow for your body to even on a cellular level, start operating a lot better. So I think that for me, again, and the reason why I wanted to talk about this so bad was because I'm literally going through it. I have some medical stuff. My blood came back a certain way. The doctors were trying to find out what's going on. I'm in the hospital overnight, MRI, different stuff to try to figure out what's going on. And then I found out my gut is great. And I'm like, why is my gut so good? Now, we still haven't found out what was going on with the other stuff, but with this, I'm like, I need to share why my gut is so good, because the doctors and nurses are asking, what are you taking? What are you doing? I haven't seen a gut so clean. What's going on at your age? You know, we've at least find this or that. What do you eat? Do you eat clean? I'm like, I don't necessarily eat the cleanest in the world. To be honest, I eat whatever is in the house. But you know, my family, you know, the folks here, they do, you know, tend to eat on the better side. We don't eat out a lot, but we still eat out. I think it's all about moderation for sure. But also, I think this product and having it daily, this is what I wake up to. My wife is incredible. Every morning when I open my eyes, this is in my face. It is this drink, this powder, this GI primer mixed in with she put like some a bunch of other stuff in there too. So it's a probiotic stick that she adds in there. Even though it already has the probiotics, we get even more because it's always good to diversify. And then and so it's a couple of different products. And if anybody, of course, want to talk about that, I'm always open. I do this, so I'm open to have conversations with people and help you get to the products and specifically that I endorse personally that you need. And then if not, I'll share with you where to get it from Amazon or wherever else if I don't have access to that stuff. But most of the stuff that I have, it works, and it's something that I've been like living and breathing by. And my kids, there's even the whole kids line just for the kids. You know what I mean? 10 years old.
You guys, the kids.
That's incredible. It's big. So
yes.
So when
they need their probiotics and everything so that their gut is good and stuff, and they don't have constipation or it's that fear of a child scared to boo-boo, you know, because they can't get it out. It's stiff, it's stuck because they're eating McDonald's nuggets or something like that. Nothing against McDonald's. I just want to point that out. But I'm saying the stuff, they're not going to eat, you know, 10 servings of vegetables, 10 servings of fruit a day. Well, some may be able to get pretty close and everything, but you also need let's be realistic, you also need a supplement and everything, because you're not going to get what you need to stop the bubble.
I got a counter for that though. I got a counter that I hear all the time. But I'm trying to be all natural. You know what I mean? I'm trying to be all natural. You know, I eat bananas. You know what I mean? I like to let people know that bananas are not natural. If you ever look up, go Google that and Google what a banana looks like. They got these thick, large seeds, like 5 or 6 or 7 seeds, thick, and the banana, it doesn't, you would look at that and say, oh, I'm not eating that. You would never eat a real natural banana. This genetically modified banana version that we have with the seeds of that little tiny black thing, that's been genetically modified. Now you have to look at the term genetically modified. My kids are genetically modified, right? They're half Filipino and half black. They are genetically engineered, right? So if you want to look at that, that's really how they're doing these fruits. It ain't necessarily always somebody playing God and mixing stuff together. If you just be like, oh, I like the way that fruit came out, I'm gonna breed him with this one. That's how we got all these dogs with different, they take a Chihuahua and a Husky. Imagine a Chihuahua Husky mix. What do you think they had to do to make that? I'm just saying, you use your imagination, but that's what all of that stuff is, right? It just, so when we're thinking about what is natural, we think that natural is always good. If we left our nature just to do whatever it wanted, then you're okay with bugs and everything all in your house and on your pillow. You're okay with spiders just crawling all up in you. That's natural, right? But no, you keep barriers and put stuff outside in your garden to keep the bugs away, keep the pests away, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about natural. What we really think we're talking about, I think people are really referring to is like good for the body, like that God made that works. And so you can mimic when God says that we need to eat these particular things. If you look up the nutrient value of those foods, it has magnesium, probiotics. It has these stuff in it for us already. The idea is that in the regular American diet, right, we don't get the amount we need. And because of soil, the way that they farm, remember, we're producing food like crazy right now, right? So they don't have time to properly farm, which is where you take the soil and you plant corn here and then you rotate it over there because it's taking out all of the phosphates and nitrates or whatever from this area. You're not supposed to plant corn back there again because the last crop just took it out. But what they're doing is they're planting it there again and using certain chemicals or whatever in order to keep growing it faster and bigger and better. And it looks like a corn still, but it doesn't have the same nutrient density as it used to. So that means that in order to eat the amount of whatever you might need, is like 10 times more. Don't quote me on that, but it's a lot more than it used to be when the fruit was, organic and specifically from like certified organic farms. And that's why a lot of the products that I endorse, particularly certified organic, these products are things that you can tell that there is a birth certificate from the seed to the supplement because they want you to know we are meticulous about this process. It's hard to keep control over all of that stuff. What is this? I would drink a bug if it's fly in my wine on my mouth. You go ahead and do that, Auntie. You go ahead and do that, okay? That bug might give you some probiotics for sure. You know what I mean? But people are afraid of that stuff. After just knowing, for example, again, that just because stuff is just allowed doesn't mean it's right. You know what I mean? So let's change our.
I watched her do that.
Eat that fly
a couple times, different times.
I didn't know. I'm cool with it. I mean,
oh my God. You be like something dropping my food, or fly land on my food. I'm throwing the whole hot dog away. I'm throwing the whole whatever it is away. But I don't know. Maybe it's fermented.
Hey, you know what's funny though? When people end up accidentally eating bugs and stuff like that, it's funny. People get sick from the thought of it, but if they didn't know it was in there, they don't get sick.
Yeah.
I'm not saying go ahead
you didn't taste it.
Bugs, I'm just saying, it's just we get sick from eating a really good something from a restaurant a lot of times instead of that, But
I'm loving this right here.
What you got? Not on your mama. Granny came through and was like, don't get that on me. That ain't on your mama. No. That's right.
Ooh.
Don't mess with my granny.
Yes.
If you know anything about granny, don't mess with granny.
Definitely. She said, don't be putting that on your mama. Talk about I'll eat a bug that fly in my wine. Shoot, it might be fermented, so it might actually taste good. So it's just like a little piece of fruit. A fruit flies
up a little bit, A lot of people like that. And speaking of that, nutrients and stuff, a lot of times people will do stuff to their water. People are really starting to recognize that you don't necessarily have to drink a bunch of water all the time and get your source from that. You can eat fruit. There are people who don't eat water anymore. They don't drink water. They don't drink water, but they eat fruit, is what I was trying to say. And they only eat fruit, and that's not only eat fruit, because that's going to lead to other issues, right? If you only eat meat, only eat fruit, like all these extreme diets may not be for everybody. The point is this: when you think about that orange, if you squeeze it out and you just made it into orange juice and it's a large content of that orange juice is broken down into water, You might think, well, I have to also still drink my 9 glasses of water. You're hydrated by eating fruit. If you eat a bunch of watermelon, there's a lot of water in there. But it's what they call a lot of times functional water, right? It has more than just water. I drink a lot of coconut water. And my kids, actually, they drink water, but for whatever reason, naturally, they kept throwing it up. Cairo and Kiana, they kept spitting it up. Every time I gave them real water, like purified water or sink water, it didn't matter. I was like, maybe they don't like it so pure. Maybe I should give them some sink water. When they were babies, they would when pediatrician was telling them, here, go ahead and start drinking this water. It's time to drink this water. They just would spit it up. But if I gave them coconut water, they just naturally drank that stuff. So I was like, oh, cool, okay. And so if you look at the back of what coconut water has, and it has that salt, that sodium for electrolytes. It has potassium. It has a bunch. It's functional water. Yeah. So you can go if you replace some of that water that we're drinking that's just pure. Because sometimes if it's so pure, we're trying to get all of this super pure water, right? With no minerals, no vitamins. Water is awesome at extracting things out. That's why we can't drink distilled water. Distilled water is the purest form of water in the world ever. They take literally everything out. But if you drink that, they say it could kill you. Why? Because as you go in, right, it'll start to like suck out those vitamins and minerals inside of you.
Inside your body. Right. Like a sponge or something.
Yeah, it's a sponge. It'll suck it out. So you really don't want to put water. You want to put water that's more functional. So I like to make sure, like people say, to squeeze some lemon in there. You know what I mean? Put a little bit of salt in there. Like, like mix it up a little bit when it comes to even your water,
Yes, definitely. Michael, did you want me to speak on anything about the colonoscopies and stuff like that? I did pronounce that right and everything, but just a quick thing on colonoscopies. So we know a colon is a colon, or it's a part of your large intestine.
I think you went over colonoscopy and endoscopy, right?
Stuff. And the oscopy means a camera. So it's a visual aid. They stick a camera in you, whether they're going down the throat into the stomach, or whether they're going in the back door, up into your colon and large intestine and everything. So that's where they find the most things and stuff. So when you get one of those done, and they recommend, I'm not going to quote what time they recommend them, but then I know you're not looking at those comments.
Right, not looking at the comments. That water hole.
I had to put some on there though, and stuff. But the one that goes and looks into your stomach and everything to like find ulcers and different things like that. That one is the upper endoscopy, or the inside of your gut and stuff, and it looks into the stomach, which is your gastro. Intestinal part of your gastro is your stomach and stuff. And it's just a camera, and it looks in there, and it can find things like ulcers. It can also go down into that little tube that after your throat, when you swallow your food, it goes into the back of your throat. It drops down into this thing called the esophagus. That's where GERD comes from. Gastroesophageal reflux disease. So that's what GERD means. I know that's a whole big old word, hard to swallow, hard to keep up with. But the whole point is that tube that takes your food and drops it into your stomach. That tube is very important. But every so often when sodas over years and spicy foods and different things cause it to get cause of little flappers. There's a flapper that closes your airway, and it opens up your esophagus, and everything, which is the tube that drops the food into your stomach. So over time, that one gets, weary and stops working so well. Also, the other one is there's another one that keeps the food in there, and then when it's time, it drops it into your stomach. It has a flapper also. When those wear away or they get weak in walls somewhere and stuff like that, what happens is the acid in your stomach is so strong, it'll come back up with some of the food or something. You know how, if you ever heard, I threw up in my mouth. That's literally what you did. You just brought some acid from your stomach all the way up that tube that's not supposed to let the acid in there, and it went up there. So that's why you get heartburn, because it's around your heart, and that's the esophagus, and stuff. So it's burning your heart, but it's not burning, it's burning in the inside of your esophagus. If it corrodes or wears away so bad, you can end up with other problems where you might have to be fed directly into your stomach with a gastric tube or something like that. That's how bad it is. So we have to take things like acid reducers, like Pepsids and different things like that and stuff. And these things help kind of bring down the acid on your stomach. Alka-Seltzer and stuff. It brings down the acidity in your stomach so that it doesn't trash your system, because you need that food tube. That's your tube from your mouth down into your stomach. So how does it get there? It goes via that tube. If that tube gets trashed, we're in trouble. And I ain't talking about just you and you and you and you. I'm talking about me. So what? I'm a nurse. I just know what to do, and stuff. That's the only difference between me and you. So when I'm saying this, it's something that we got to pay attention to. And this,
that's so crazy. I didn't realize that heartburn is the acid burning in that area. So it's by your heart. So you feel the heartburn there, but it's not your heartburn, and it's your esophagus, your food tube, your natural food tube that you were born with. Right. And this is for anybody. So this is for a child all the way up. So feeding the child the sparkly drinks and stuff like that. That's why we got Capri Suns. That's why we got, Kool-Aid jammers and all of that stuff, or Mott's apple juice and stuff like that, because you want to feed them more juices. You don't want to really introduce them to sodas, or guess what? Their esophagus erodes. They have one too, and they grow up with that same one. So just imagine all the years and our ages and stuff. And it's just wear and tear on our body. So that's the bad part. So that's the esophageal, the EGD. I'm not going to keep on pronouncing that. But then the colonoscopy, it says colon or the colon and stuff. And that's the one where they take a camera and they go up the backside or the dark side. I don't know what you want to call it, the sunshine side or something. But they go in there and they can find things like, I don't know if you've ever heard of a polyp. Or they find hemorrhoids. They can spot all these things when they're going up in there, because every time you poop, sometimes it's just a hemorrhoid if you get a little bit of blood. If you get a big amount of blood, didn't I say your body is a snitch? Just tell them.
Please believe it. Please believe it. Your body will tell you. If you got a hemorrhoid is not natural. You shouldn't always have a hemorrhoid. That means that you have some type of constipation. So guess what? You got to go in there, and when you boo-boo and it's hard to come out, and you sitting there for hours and you pushing, and then finally some come out with a little bit of tinge of blood. That's a problem. Your body is snitching on your colon is snitching on you. In that case, your anus is snitching on you, and stuff. It's saying, I'm not happy. That's the inflammation. And then it gets so big and swollen and inflamed, it bursts. And so on the way out with that poop, it catches a ride and it drops down in the toilet and scares the mess out of you and stuff. Not saying that it's just something you got to tell on it. If your body is snitching on you, tell a doctor on it, and stuff like that. So, like I said, let me help you help yourself, and stuff. And this is good work and stuff, and this is good stuff. So absolutely, Antoinette said, do women get colonoscopies? Anybody with a butt, when you have a colonoscopy, do you fart wet afterwards? I'm pretty sure it probably do spit out a little something. You're taking it's the bomb. It's the bomb. It's definitely the bomb and stuff. So yes.
Colonoscopies.
Huh?
Do women get colonoscopies?
Do women get colonoscopies? Yeah. Anybody with a butt, a gastrointestinal system, anybody with a gut needs to have a colonoscopy. Absolutely.
I know that they were talking about
150 million %.
Men and colon cancer is growing crazy, right? So what they're doing right now is they're having, it used to be 45 and they were kind of looking at 40. They said they're trying to put it in the law now. And that's why they push mine now, even though I'm approaching 35. They are trying to get it to 35 actually, because that people are younger and younger are starting to develop these colon cancers.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Gentlemen, get ready. Get ready. Just from my understanding, you don't have to worry as bad about the colonoscopy if you get both, the top and the bottom, because they put you to sleep for that one usually. But if you do just the colonoscopy, they give you a ketamine. I know a guy that I know, he broke his leg. He just got it done, and they gave him ketamine. I thought that's a drug, like that's a drug, like a bad drug, right? Like I thought ketamine right there. I don't know.
Yeah. But, it's I think a horse tranquilizer or something like that. Well, in a horse, it's a bigger dose.
The dosages
it'll kill a person.
But he said it makes you feel like really woozy. But so you're like still able to look at the screen and see them doing it if you wanted to. And I was like, I didn't get any of that experience.
I don't want to see nothing.
Good.
Show me the screen after. Show me the pictures. I don't
have a question really fast too. It looks like somebody said, what are are there any natural ways to stop that heartburn? And so some of the ones that I was able to kind of look up for that person was avoid trigger foods like spicy foods, fatty, citrus, chocolate, coffee, and alcohol. So this is if you have it bad. If you didn't eat these foods, it won't trigger it as much. These foods are typically will trigger it. Eat smaller and more frequent meals as opposed to these larger meals, because the more food you put in there, your body's going to start to need more and more, stomach acid and hydrochloric acid to try to break that stuff down. So the more you put in there, it's going to overproduce to try to make up for all of that volume you're throwing in there. So just eat smaller meals. Maintaining a healthy weight is going to definitely help. Don't lie down after eating. Wait 2 to 3 hours before you start to lie down in that position, because we have that sphincter, right? That you were talking about when it comes down your esophagus.
Yeah, the flappers.
That flap stops the food from going in. Now, if you lay down, sometimes that stomach acid, especially if you just ate, it's producing a bunch of stomach acid, and then you just let it just bloom right back up, right? So that plus being able to drink ginger tea and add fresh ginger to your meals. They said try aloe vera juice in moderation. Drink chamomile tea, which I've been hearing is great. I know a lot of people drink chamomile tea daily. Chew sugar-free gum. Wear loose-fitting clothing. I don't know how that has to do with it, but I would imagine tighter.
No tight pants, y'all.
I would imagine eating bananas. Eat bananas or oatmeal. And I haven't done the research on each one of these, but I would imagine eating a banana or oatmeal would kind of soak up some of that stuff, right? Particularly. And I know both of those are like sugars and carbs too. So I don't know if that carb, because there's simple carbs and there's complex carbs. I don't know if one or two of those, maybe the complex carbs might make it so that, it might absorb a little more of that stomach acid. I would have to look into that more. They said try, I don't know, a slippery elm or marshmallow. Marshmallow extract. These are different supplements. I would and then baking soda in water, occasionally, not all the time. And then the last one, I just what's she talking about now?
This little nurse right here said, what is this?
We might have to do an intervention for Sonia Lister here. I think she has some.
You want to know some really good stuff? I'm gonna have to do a private with.
Yeah, maybe you guys can do your love thing and handle that. I don't need to know about it, so just.
Oh.
Try the finger thing. You can try that.
So we're gonna get to the moral of it. Just a couple things that I wanted to say about the gut. One is, can you say the name of the product we highlighted again, Michael?
Oh yeah, it's called the GI Primer, and I'm actually gonna share right now my information. Boom. Wait, it says the comment has failed to post. I must mess up your term, so I can't. I don't think I guess in your settings it won't allow for me to put my phone number and email. Right.
What about? Oh, I was supposed to say, what about if we put it on that remember how you did it when you put it on the screen? We might have to post it in the comments. It's okay.
Yeah, because it's my phone number. But I mean, I'm sure that anybody can like make a comment or something like that. I'll share my number directly with you and everything. But I love to just sit down and talk to people, because one thing you might need is just that product, the GI primer, right? That GI primer. Mm-hmm. And you want to know more about it. Much of what I said was there, but if you want to know more about it, that it's a single use, 1 scoop a day, 30-day supply of you being able to take that every day, right? And you want to continue taking that stuff. And what you'll start to notice, everybody I know that are clients of mine that take it, that we've had that conversation, I let them know on the front end, you are priming your GI system for the first time. Don't think things are going to be peachy creamy. As soon as you start taking this and you're changing your alkalinity, you're starting to like interact with your body. If you start farting and pooping, and it ain't gonna be no excessive nothing, but I know like feeling bloated, different things like that, that's gonna happen for like the first week or two. So you need a minimum for me of 2 weeks to allow to see if this stuff works. So I know my wife and I, we're actually allowing for people to trial this for 2 weeks. And there's a 20% discount on everything that I have to offer. All of the companies that I work with, particularly, there's a 20% store-wide thing happening right now. So just get to me.
And
so
I'll definitely put that in the comments. The one you sent me, Mike, I'll put that in the comments and everything and stuff, because they need to see it and stuff. But all of us need to be on this, and everything in reality and stuff. If you ever want to start feeling good about yourself every day, because remember, your gut health is your mental health, if that makes sense. Because a lot of your selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, it's inside your gut.
SSRI.
So they call it a SSRI. For anybody that's case managers and stuff on the line and everything and stuff, it's the SSRI, which is the antidepressant, but it's the one that helps inhibit the serotonin. It selects certain serotonin levels to be able to, it inhibits certain ones to be able to go, so that you can have a less depressed demeanor, and stuff, more euphoric. You'll be happier, a happy gut, a happy life, even and stuff like that. So this is definitely important. And just a summary of the gut.
Again, remember, it's fermented greens. This product has fermented greens. It has prebiotics, it has the fiber, it has postbiotics that we talked about earlier, it has alkaline spices, it has the digestive enzymes, and it also has the fruit and vegetables. All of that, all in a single scoop that you can get, that you take daily.
One more thing that we talked about prior to this and stuff, and that was about the difference between live and dead pre and probiotics, that we got to watch that and do our due diligence. I see Kathy came on. Hello, Kathy, and stuff. Let me see. When you were a child, you couldn't poop, and they sharpened a piece of soap. Oh, yes. That has been done in the past. I believe that, definitely, Kathy. That it's, there's even a such thing, Kathy, as a soap suds enema. If that makes any sense, it's a real thing. It's harsh, and it's not a win all, and stuff. You could do it sometimes, but you got to, practice that few and far between and everything and stuff. But that's where probably the piece of soap and some grease came from, is there is a real such thing as a soap suds enema, which is another way of having, like, they have mineral oil enemas, they have fleets enemas and stuff like that. So these are all things that we have used to make it just come out. We ain't got time to be, waiting on this or that and stuff like that. But they're a very temporary fix, because you got to find out why were you so stopped up that it just wouldn't come out until you start using the countermeasures and stuff like that. So definitely that. Thank you, Kathy, for that. And by the way, you guys can catch the replay Like, tag, and share definitely. And I'm on YouTube right now as we speak. So this is all going across Facebook Live and YouTube. And so go to my channel on YouTube and visit me. And if you like what I'm doing and stuff, you'll see the other lives and stuff. Subscribe definitely and stuff, because this is a big deal. And I think we're going to still revisit this because it's a real problem and all of us need it. Let me see. What you say? Okay, I'm sorry, yo. It's you know what? I'm having too much fun with a young lady, a case manager named Sonia and stuff. What was the red bag? Well, that one is not for enemas, but it's for it goes intimate, but not for enemas. So we'll go ahead and we'll revisit that after the live and stuff.
Let me share, when people do reach out, Mom, I wanted to share one of the things that Lorelai has set up that
yes, sir.
I've lost to have conversations with people about this product, because one of the biggest things is just consistency. So if you could share the one with the circles first.
The one with the circles.
Because we know what to do, but we don't do what we know a lot of times, right? And I think that one of the ways that I was trying to look at helping people, and she was looking at helping people, was like, man, how do we help people stay consistent with stuff? Because there's all kind of awesome vitamins, herbs, supplements, things like that that are natural, that work. But sometimes we try it, and when we get better, we stop, right? And so a lot of this stuff we need to be able to continue and to help support that process. So there's two.
The one with the circles.
One is has circles at the bottom with different things inside the circles. If you could put the circle one up first.
Oh, I didn't even, I'm looking in the comments. I'm sorry.
No worries. So this right here is what we call our me and Lorelai made this up together, called a daily tracker. So you can and we didn't know if we wanted to send clients with like a little stamp or two from the 99-cent store, get a little stamp so you can like actually like make it a little interactive. But whatever you can do, however we can help people, that's what me and my wife are into doing. And whether it's even sending scheduled text messages, we have a software that we use that we can schedule a message that'll be like, hey, did you take your GI primer today? Hey, did you take? And if you want it to be once every other day, once every day, once at the end of the week, how many times have you taken it out of 7? And then you can just send a text message back. And we'll be very interactive with that process. But this was what she's physically sending out in the mail when we give people the free 2-week trial, so that they can see the benefits. When you start feeling some stuff, it'll make all the sense in the world to start buying some stuff, right? So a daily tracker is 1 through 14, 14 days. You get, this talks about the ferment, so you can see, because sometimes we're taking stuff, we don't know what's in it, right? We don't know how it's benefiting us. So even if it's like, it may be, not the best flavor, or it's whatever, everybody's looking for like flavors and artificial stuff in order to make stuff taste better, instead of like everything that God gave us on earth that's supposed to be good for us don't always just taste good. It's just good for your brain and your body and your issues. Sometimes for me, I'm like, although for me, I like the flavor, I've gotten used to it. Just like push-ups, you ain't gonna like it, then you get used to it, right? It's some stuff like that that's out there. And when you know what's in it, it changes a lot. So the fermented greens here, fruits and vegetables, the prebiotic and fiber, the postbiotics, the alkaline spices, and the digestive enzymes, so that a person can physically see this and just put an X on each day and know what they're putting inside of their body every single day to keep them accountable to that. Once you hit that 14-day mark, my hypothesis is that you're gonna be like, I'm all for it. I'm all for it for sure. Because you're gonna go through the first couple of days, first one week, maybe 4 or 5 days, where you're gonna be like, first, second, and third day, it's gonna be a little gassy. It's gonna be like, oh man, you farting once or twice, whatever. And then after that, you're gonna be like, oh man, when I went to the bathroom, my poop was smooth. And so if you know that stool, what is it called? The stool, the 5 types of stool. Mom, Bristol, I think it's a Bristol stool thing.
Yes, Bristol stool chart.
And it'll show you
different kinds of ways that your poop will come out. And you'll be able to, if you're a human and you've ever defecated or had dookie and stuff, then you could find your poop on there. And you could tell how bad and everything. So that's another thing. I think I'm going to post a Bristol stool chart in the comments and everything. And then we're going to come circle back around and revisit this because this is really good and definitely something that is a worthwhile read and everything and stuff. So I'm going to make sure that I do that. And we're going to keep with the system so that we can kind of tackle a system at a time so that you know what's healthy for you and what's not. Because there's so much stuff out there that you don't know. You're being pulled in all these different ways.
The second thing I was gonna say, go ahead and share that. Watch this. This is exactly what you're talking about. So look. Oh wait. I wish I can click on it.
You want me to this one?
The other one. It was only 2 yet. So this one says who, what, when, how, and where. So anyone and everyone should be taking this to me, in my personal opinion. Why? Because every decade you lose 12% of your microbial diversity. So ever hear people say I can't eat like I did in my 20s, or it'll make me sick to my stomach? By 50, most people have 83% less of that, whatever you could try to pronounce that on your own, bacteria. And that's a group of bacteria that play a main role in a healthy gut. And so if 83% of people have less than that, you're probably a part of that 83% by 50. And if you're 40, you're probably getting close, right? So we're starting to lose these abilities to break down foods if we don't put some stuff back in it. So what is this? Those 6 supporting blends: fermented greens, fruits and vegetables, alkaline spices, probiotic, prebiotic, all of that stuff, digestive enzymes, and posts. And so first thing in the morning, best time to prepare your gut for the day is in the beginning of your day, right? First thing you take. How? Some people can take it solely with water. Others mix it with their favorite juice. I like to take mine with our favorite excess nutritional drink that we have is energy drink / nutritional drink. Doesn't have a bunch of caffeine. It's a bunch of B vitamins. It's great. And that jump starts my gut and my energy levels for the rest of the day. And I have narcolepsy. If you didn't know that already, I have excessive daytime sleepiness. So to hack my body and put my body in the right kind of place to be awake, even for this whole podcast without falling asleep on y'all, I had to figure out how to value and prioritize things that made sense, or I wouldn't be here. I don't know if I would be able to hold a job. I wouldn't be able to do a lot if it wasn't for being able to figure out how do I keep myself alert and awake. And so the last final thing is why. So many reasons. Your gut regulates 95% of your serotonin, right? And this is kind of like a recap here. It contains 70% of your immune system arsenal and controls brain inflammation pathways. And the list goes on. So if you're looking for a reason why, you found it here for sure. If you're looking for how, you found it. You found what product you need to take. If you're looking for when, first thing in the morning. If you're looking for what, all of those pre, and postbiotics all in one product. So you don't have to get that stuff in 50 other products, right? So that'll keep the value down when you have a company that's capable of putting that in one. You have to have a crazy amount of manufacturing power to be able to put that a supplement like that, and then have that third party tested to determine that it's great. And then the who, all of us, everybody should be, even if not this particular product, we put this out there because it's the best that I've seen. But whatever you're doing, like switching your stuff into getting sauerkraut, like we talked about, or some more fermented foods in your system, staying away from these carbonated beverages. I talked to my doctor recently, and I didn't know this. I thought it was the Coke when it comes to Coca-Cola or Pepsi. It's not just that. It's the carbonation itself. So even when you think you're being healthy by drinking a LaCroix or something like that,
the sparkling water.
It's just you're thinking that's better. It is better because it doesn't have the sugar and the chemicals. That stuff is bad by itself, but it's a secondary bad to just have carbonation. So when I learned that, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to cut out my carbonation because I like drinking my carbonated beverages, right? I don't drink soda, but I like drinking my carbonated beverages. I'm just not going to drink as much. I'm just going to start consuming it 50 times a day. I'm just going to, you know what I mean? Like start to moderate some of that stuff back so I'm not like disrupting my system in a negative way. So that was just a big for sure.
All right. Well,
man, that was for sure. And Mom, I appreciate you so much. Everybody that's making these comments, that's just chiming in, spending your
yes.
I want to let you know that when it comes, if you know my mom, a lot of times people say that she is always trying to help. She's always trying to add value to people. And she's constantly looking for ways to be able to take what she already knows and not die with that. And I think that's a big deal. You're looking at, because she's like third or whatever generation now, to where my grandmother is now great grands, right? And so she has all of these grandkids now, and now my mom has grandkids, and my auntie Sonia on the thing has grandkids. So now it's grandkids time for you guys. And as you start to get older, to even think now, I feel like there should be a spark in your heart of like, I don't have to look like the old people when I was young and looked at the old people. I don't have to be like that. them stuff, the knowledge now to make it to where my gut can be great, my health can be good. I can play ball with my grandkids. I can get up and walk around. When it comes to exercise, all this running and sprinting is for athletes. You don't have to be running and sprinting and lifting millions of pounds to be healthy. All you got to do is walk. Walking is one of the number one healthiest things you could possibly do ever. I just think people, it's so little and easy, they think, oh, it don't matter. But when you walk a couple blocks, you get tired. It's affecting your body and causing you to, it's so many benefits. And I think we just need to kind of get the right information from listening to you. All of the other podcasts you've done, Mom, have been great. And I've been implementing.
Oh, thank you all.
It's one thing to hear stuff and then do it, right? And I think one of the things, the way that you've shared it so far, you got a special gift to where I'll open up the cabinet and be like, "Ooh, she said this about cholesterol." I'm like, "All right, I'm gonna do something different." Just knowing that you have that like Nurse Charlene in the back of your head, that's whoever else you have in your mind that you know are good people. Just let her just get, eventually grow in your heart to become like what she's done for me. And be that other head back there that's like, all right, I got you, right? That angel on your shoulder helping you out, guiding you through your thoughts, for sure.
Absolutely.
Love you, Mama.
Wow. I love you too. And thank you all for tuning in to Medical Talk in layman's terms with Nurse Charlene. Our topic tonight was the gut. Everybody has one. So we got to make sure we can take care of it because bubble guts is not for nothing. Upset stomach. I feel sick to my stomach. You full of the S word, so all that means something. Mm-hmm. That we're full of fecal matter. We got to get that out. And then we need bacteria. So there's bacteria in your poop. You poop out the bad kind, but sometimes when you have diarrhea or constipation, you pull out some of that good kind too. We need to put some of that back. Because we're supposed to have bacteria, it just needs to be more of the good kind than the bad kind and stuff. And the reason why boo-boo stinks, is because it's no good. It's toxic. So it needs to go out. That's why it smells that bad, because it's inside of you smelling that bad. And if you're on a good bowel regimen and everything is getting together and stuff, and it takes time. It's one step at a time. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't just, write yourself off and stuff, because you only get one of you. So I'm saying all of this, and we did all of this and stuff, and we went over a little bit and stuff, but this is because this is good medicine for you. And if you don't believe me, do the research. If you don't believe me, ask your doctor and see what the doctor says. I've been a nurse 21 consecutive years and counting, meaning I plan on my license staying right with me in my hands. And so when I say this to you, I just want to help you help yourself. And remember, your body is a snitch. You better believe it. You got to believe it and stuff, because it's telling on you. It's telling on you. All right, you guys, we're going to go ahead and end it and everything. I appreciate everybody, and look for your comments to be answered after the live is over. We're going to go back in and get together and stuff and answer your questions and stuff. And it doesn't matter what the questions are and stuff. We love them all, every single one of them. And I appreciate you guys taking a little time out of your busy schedules and everything and stuff to get on here with us and stuff. We want to help you help yourself. All right, signing off. Bye-bye, everybody. Take care. Hey.